Let's keep going with chapter 30. What we saw in the last chapter was Jacob marrying two different women, Leah and Rachel, one of whom he didn't really love because she had weak eyes, which I wouldn't stop saying in the last video because it's funny that it worded it that way. It's not funny that she had weak eyes. It's funny that the Bible said it. He ends up marrying both of them, Leah and Rachel. Rachel, who's younger and has a better figure, apparently. And then he has 4 children by Leah. God makes Rachel infertile on purpose so that Leah has some kids because she's unloved. That's how it's justified. And now I think he's about to get rocking with Rachel. After all these many years and births through Leah, I realized that these kids that Leah was having are Joseph's brothers with the colorful coat. It's a famous story as well. So I'm assuming Rachel starts having kids too. That's my guess for this chapter. We also don't have a title here. It's still under Jacob's children, which was a part of chapter 29, and then chapter 30 just starts in the middle of the story. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, sorry, I saw what was coming, "Give me children or I'll die." Yep, that's pretty dramatic. I mean, I guess if you were living back then, let's try to be empathetic to Rachel here. I guess if you were living that long ago, that's all you're living for is having kids or reproducing. I mean, it's not Jacob's fault. I'm sure he's trying. He's almost definitely doing his best. Jacob became angry with her and said, "Am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children?" He knows. He knows that God has done it. Also, why is he mad at her? Why is he getting angry? Men are so immature in the Bible. Also today. Then she said, "Here is Bilhah, my servant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and I too can build a family through her." We've seen past generations make this mistake. I think it was Sarai who did this with Hagar. And I guess they haven't, how many, Isaac, so Isaac is Jacob's dad. Abraham is Isaac's dad. So that's only 2 generations away. I mean, they lived in really weird long time spans. You would think it's been passed down to Jacob, though. Hey, we did this. It did not go well. Sarah was very upset after, even though it was her suggestion for the servant to have the kids, she was really upset afterwards when she actually did it. Got super, you think you're jealous now, Rachel? Just wait until he has someone else's baby who's not related to you. Also, what does that make the kids? So he's having kids with 2 different cousins. That means they're brothers and sisters, but also cousins at the same time. Yeah. So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. I guess they didn't learn from, no information was passed down from grandparent to grandchild. Didn't make it. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son." Because of this, she named him Dan. Dan the man. Thank you, God. Because of you, I'm going to name my son Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again. So Jacob is just having sex with everybody. Can I say that word on YouTube? Will I get in trouble? I always just want to say it, but I hold back and if you go back and watch the other times I've referenced it, you can see I'm talking around it because I don't know if that's a trigger word for the YouTube algorithm, for the bots. It scans your video. I'm pretty sure when you upload it, I haven't even done it yet. I still haven't even started uploading, even at this point. But I know I've uploaded in the past, and I know that it scans your video and looks for where anything that could be like a potential problem. Because obviously there's not enough manpower. There's like 500 hours of video footage that gets uploaded to YouTube every minute. So they do not have enough people to manually go through everything. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." Why is it a competition? Why does she feel that way? I guess I can't. It's a different time, different culture, different people. It's not the same. But she just sees it as a competition with her sister who's married to the same man. So she named him Naphtali. This is another instance of, it says she did this, or this person did this thing, so they named it this. And then I guess you're supposed to infer that that's the meaning. I've had a great struggle with my sister. I have won, so she named him Naphtali. So I guess if you win something, Naphtali is some related word to that. I don't know. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, She took her servant. So that also implies that they're all still sleeping together. But then she goes, well, hey, where are the babies? What happened to them? Come on, Jacob, get them in me. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her servant, Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as his wife. Man, what a fantasy for the thousands of years of generations of men who have read this book. No wonder they were like, let's make it a religion. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, what good fortune! So she named him Gad. Of course she did. That's just what Gad means. Egad! Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, how happy I am. The women will call me happy. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. This is the Bible. So she named him Asher. Asher is a name that is around today. I've met a few Ashers in my life. Not super common. And I don't know if this is the one that people name their daughters after, but that is a name still for sure. During wheat harvest, okay, good. Set the context. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields. That's appropriate because of Reuben sandwiches. I made that joke last video. Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants. I thought mandrakes were from Harry Potter. I also referenced Harry Potter in the last video. I probably won't do that a whole lot since that's kind of a touchy subject these days. I mean, it's one of those brings up that comment. I'm not going to get distracted too much here, but one of those like separate the art from the artist conversations. It's like that was everybody's favorite series in the whole world until, if you know, you know. Reuben went out into the field and found some mandrake plants. Those little screaming plants. I think that's what they are. Which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. But she said to her, wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Oh my God. What is... That is a real... Okay, clearly Leah has some pent-up anger on the inside. Also, Leah's the one who had kids with Jacob first. She's now saying, wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too? I feel there's a little bit of a gap between those two comparisons there. You already took my husband. Give me something. Let me have the mandrakes. My son's mandrakes, no less. Very well, Rachel said. He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. These chapters have been so much better than I thought they were going to be. I thought this was just going to be a bunch of kids being had, and they are. That's a part of it, but the narrative in between the events is just top tier. This is fantastic. This is good storytelling. Very well, Rachel said. He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. So when Jacob came in from the fields, Jacob doesn't know any of this. He's just out. He's out in the fields. He's having a good time. And then he comes in and his wives are like, sleep with Rachel so I can have mandrakes. And he's like, oh my God, why did I marry you too? So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. You must sleep with me, she said. I have hired you with my son's... How have I never heard this story? How have I never heard or read this before? Leah went out to meet him. You must sleep with me, she said. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. How? That's how their marriage works. Apparently they're in a place where Jacob can just be living his life one day, and then he comes back to one of his wives, one of the many women he's bore children with, and she can just come up to him and be like, you must sleep with me. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. That's the Bible quote that's going to go on my wall someday. That is beautiful. I love that so much. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. So it worked. And it's not just a fifth son total. That's just with Leah. That's a fifth son through Leah. Then Leah said, God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think that was weird as all hell. And then he goes, okay. God goes, okay, you can have a kid, Leah. Please stop trading your body for mandrakes. So she named him Issachar. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Sleeping with your husband for mandrakes. Leah conceived again and bore, it's just not stopping, and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor because I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. That just sounds like a name out of Star Trek. I guess if you have 6 kids, you start getting less creative. From Dan to Zebulun. Sometime later, she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah, or Dinah, D-I-N-A-H. It's Dinah with an H. I'm just going to call her Dinah, and if anyone wants to correct me, you can. Then God remembered Rachel. Oh, yeah. You have another wife. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. So it sounds like he's just got like levers and buttons that just determine the fertility of all these women. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. That's why people see children as, they're tied children very closely to religion. Even though we have 8 billion people on the planet, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph. Finally, we've made it. We've made it to Joseph. And said, may the Lord add to me another son. So wow, that was really a lot. New section title, that was a big chunk. But we still have another section called Jacob's flocks increase. They're probably just referring to his kids now. I don't even think that means animals, just his flocks as in his children. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way so I can go back to my homeland. Give me wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. Why is he asking for more wives and children? Doesn't he have enough? He married the servants. Isn't that what it said? He didn't just sleep with them. He married them. So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. He's married. He has 4 wives. Give me wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you. That's true. He did work 14 years for 2 daughters. I mean, I don't know what the price of a daughter is to every person. For in this guy's case, in Laban from Haran's case, it's 7 years per daughter. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination. Divination? It's divine. That's related to the word. That's from that. Okay. Last Harry Potter reference for this chapter, I swear. Divination is a Harry Potter class in Hogwarts. It's literally the one with Professor Trelawney who sees the future using tea leaves at the bottom of the cup. Isn't it? I'm not remembering that wrong, am I? Divination. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. He added, name your wages and I will pay them. Again, at this point, I wouldn't think Jacob cares a lot about money. It seems like he's pretty wealthy already. He learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me. That is crazy that word is in here because that's like affiliated with magic and witchcraft and stuff. I think dog witchcraft. Jacob said to him, you know how I've worked. Oh yeah, they're doing the repeat the argument tactic. It is funny. A lot of people do that today as well. If you ever see like an internet video of people like fighting, getting into a fight, they're just repeating the same thing over and over. It's like people's brains break and they just start saying the same thing over and over. They can't think of anything new because of all the adrenaline coursing through their system. You know how hard I have worked for you and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household? And then Laban just goes, what shall I give you? He doesn't even reply to what Jacob says. He just goes, what shall I give you? He asked. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. Yeah, that's what I would say. I'd probably make that argument. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. That's a pretty good deal. Let's see what he wants him to do. Let me go through all of your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages. They paid in goats back then. And why does he just want the speckled and spotted ones? I don't understand. And my honesty will testify for me in the future. Whenever you check on the wages you have paid me, any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark-colored, will be considered stolen. Okay, so it's like an integrity thing, or like you can just look at the sheep and you'll know the status of the sheep. I mean, they didn't probably know a lot about generational breeding back then. They probably figured it out quickly. It doesn't take long for animals to change traits, like we talk about. There's a lot of people, Christians do and don't believe in evolution. There's certain parties that do, certain parties that don't. I think many more do today than don't. The one I grew up in didn't. They believed in creationism. So God created everything, and evolution isn't a part of the history of the earth. But if you start trying to breed like chickens or dogs, I mean, in the past 100 years, we've completely changed dogs. If you look up pictures of dogs from the early 1900s, they are not entirely different, but very, very different in shape and features than the dogs today. Look up pit bull, not the rapper, but the animal, and look up Pitbull 1900s, Pitbull today, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Agreed, said Laban. That's all he needed. Didn't take much to sway him. Agreed. Let it be as you have said. That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, and then in parentheses, all that had white on them, and all the dark colored, thanks for specifying that one, Bible, and all the dark colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. So they got 3 days between them, by foot, I'm assuming. I don't know if they're riding animals or what. Jacob, however, took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Why is he doing that? Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. What's he cooking up here? I still don't understand what the point of this is. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches. Why? If you don't know what being in heat is for an animal, it's like when you're, what's the word we use for humans? Ovulating. I believe this is the animal equivalent of ovulation, and that could be wrong, but it's the little gap where you're like able to have kids. When animals are in heat, it's a little bit different because they actually like give off very strong pheromones that attract other animals. With ovulation in humans, in women, I should say, not just humans. Oh, humans. Yeah, because it could apply to actually a few different situations. We're not going to get into that now. I'm not going to politicize this channel, well, as much as I can. Ovulation is like the little gap in which like a woman is able to become pregnant. And that's why a lot of people accidentally become pregnant, because they try to count the days between their period cycle and ovulation. It's like, we don't need to worry as much about getting pregnant because I'm not on that part of my cycle. But then there's like incubation days where like once a sperm has been placed, I'm trying to be delicate with how I describe this. It can stay alive for, I think, up to 3 to 4 days. I think that's the period. So if that window crosses over, like maybe the woman's not ovulating, she's like, I'm 3 days away, don't worry. That sperm can still stay alive and then implant once that period comes. No pun intended on the word period. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus he separated flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. So he's breeding some of them. I don't really understand when he says make the rest face the streaked or dark-colored animals. He's separating flocks. I guess that's all that matters. Some for Laban, some for himself. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place branches in the troughs in front of the animals so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So he's just doing selective breeding. That's pretty much exactly what I was talking about earlier. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. So he's selectively breeding them to advantage himself and specifically disadvantage Laban, his uncle, who he worked for. He should have a good relationship with him, but he's already giving him the short end of the stick. In this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and female and male servants and camels and donkeys. They always specify everything: female, male, camels, donkeys, different servants. That's the end of chapter 30. That was quite a ride. I'm going to take this back out because I'm going to do my short recap for the next video. Yeah, we are 60%, if I'm doing that math correctly. That was chapter 30. There's 50 chapters. So we are 60% of the way through Genesis. I'll see you guys at the next video.